So it's going to be extremely tough, but it's not impossible. The Miami Dolphins just fell to, I think it's 2-5 now or something like that. A lot of you guys are telling me that you want us to tank for the season. I never understood the whole tanking thing. I mean, I get it when you're a bad team, like the Dolphins needed to do it, but when you have this type of team, to tank and restart again when you have a lot of these pieces is kind of like ridiculous to me. I really don't understand it. Like, you would have to literally, we're 2-5. You would have to basically lose the rest of this season. And the fact that there are some fans that want to watch that when we have an offense that did what they did yesterday, knock off a couple of the things that I want to talk about. The first thing before we get into what we need to do to save this season is that this has happened before, where there have been teams that recently have come back from deficits like this, all their fans screaming and yelling just like you guys are. And they ended up going on a win streak. And you have to understand, again, like we constantly say, is that this team is very talented. You have Tyreek Hill, Odell Beckham, Jalen Waddle, Jalen Wright. You know, the list goes on and on. Jalen Ramsey. So, a couple of the teams that we're going to talk about. Green Bay Packers, 2023. You know, the thing is, people want to, love on Jordan Love, and he's great, 100%. Actually, he's injured again. You know, he seems to be very injury prone. And another thing, you know, you talk about Tua being injury prone, and, of course, Jordan Love, first 2 seasons can't really stay on the field. You know, the meter moves all the time for everyone. But 2023 Green Bay Packers started out 3-6, and they ended up going on a tear, winning 6 games, ended up winning 6-2, and ended up making the playoffs, going all the way to the wild card championship or not the wild card championship, the NFC championship, to face Dallas and beat them, or to get there. You have the 2021 49ers, same record as us. They were 2-5, I believe, or something along those lines. They ended up winning and getting into the playoffs and making a run in the playoffs as well. And then the 2021 Eagles, also same thing. Started off 2-5, ended up making a run. And not to mention, you know, we didn't make the playoffs, but like Tua said, the Dolphins in 2020, I believe it was, I think it was 2020, went 1-7 and then won 7-1. So it has happened before. The fact that a lot of you guys want to tank, I mean, it's like you forget that we already did that before. And again, you forget also that teams that have won the Super Bowl before, sometimes are teams that are just like the Giants and teams like this that just get hot in the playoffs. I understand we're in a very not great position, but when you look at the offense looked to be humming again on all cylinders. I don't really care what the people in the comments are saying about the Tua sucked and that this whole thing. Like, the offense scored 27 points in any book. That, like, if you look at the rest of the teams that played last week, like, you would have beaten the Ravens. You would have beaten, like, a lot of the teams that played last week with that amount of points. So, like, to say that, you know, the offense sucks and this and that, what you need to do to save this season, first off, we'll talk about the offense. Tua just came back from 5 games. I understand he wants to say that he's not rusty, but anybody's going to be rusty, and the only rust that he had was the snap. And that snap that he mishandled, that was an extremely hard snap to get. Like, you have to realize, like, I want you all to watch the game again. That snap was launched at Tua and it was above his forehead. Like, that is a hard snap to, while you're trying to look, like, you have to understand, Tua's not just looking at the center's butt, waiting for the ball to be snapped. He's looking at the offense and at the defense and trying to figure out what he needs to do next. That ball is launched at him, like, literally, like, out of a machine, just shot at his face, at his forehead. Really hard ball to catch. And on top of that, he saved the touchdown. Quick intermission. If you're liking this video, do me that favor. Hit the like, hit that subscribe. Fins up, baby. By kicking it out of bounds to the safety. And then, of course, the defense ends up letting it go. So offensively, don't know what's happening with Isaiah Wynn. Teron Armstead actually, surprisingly, knock on wood, has been healthy the whole year. Aaron Brewer looks really good. And, you know, last game, Austin Jackson looked pretty good as well. Liam Eichenberg's still the weak spot. But the offensive line is getting better. And what it looked like yesterday is that kind of Tua needed that last thing to happen to realize you don't need to be running into people. That was something that Tua would do in college and high school. He would run into people because he's Hawaiian. That's the thing, it's like warrior spirit, whatever. But what you saw yesterday, and this is where I think people, they just want to say that Tua sucks, is if you watch the game yesterday, I have people commenting like Tua did nothing in the final minutes of the game. There's a third down there that Jonnu Smith catches a first down. They had to review it. When you watch that third down, that was literally Tua escaping pressure, not allowing them to sack him, and then sidearming it to Jonnu Smith, 10 yards, completely accurate dart right into his chest. And he did that the entire game. The fact that you guys still want to say that he sucks blows my mind. You're not going to see him do Lamar Jackson things. You're not going to see Peyton Manning do Lamar Jackson things. What Peyton Manning's thing was accuracy and pocket awareness, which I would even speculate to say is that accuracy, I would give it to Peyton Manning. I'd say the ability to move around in the pocket, I'd give it to Tua. I think Tua has a better pocket presence than most quarterbacks, if not all quarterbacks in the league. The ability to move around, you saw it. Other quarterbacks can't do that. Most quarterbacks can't do that. Josh Allen, I would say, obviously at this point is a better quarterback, but the pocket presence of Tua Tagovailoa is completely different than what I've ever seen from anyone. So offensively, getting Odell Beckham much more involved is the thing that needs to happen. And the key here is having a person that you've paid all this money for, and they don't even see a target in the game with Tua Tagovailoa. Doesn't really make any sense. You're saying that they have shell coverage over Tyreek Hill and Waddle and all that. That's what you got Odell for. So the fact that he had 0 targets last game, when you have, this is what they need to do on the offense. I talked about this with my brother. You have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Jonnu Smith, Jalen Wright, Devon Achane, and then Odell Beckham. I understand that football, you have different packages and whatnot. If you're running the ball, sure, put in more tight ends, put in more offensive line, but it's a spread passing, empty backfield. You need to keep literally Waddle, Odell, Tyreek Hill, and Jonnu Smith on every passing play, because these are your playmakers. These are the guys that are going to get open no matter what. And again, like I said, understand the offense is very complicated. Totally get that. Odell Beckham needs to have more touches. It just can't be the case that Odell Beckham does not have touches in the game. This is an elite playmaker. This is a guy that can literally make a humongous play on any down scenario. And we have Tyreek Hill and Waddle. Waddle's struggling with drops. He needs to get that corrected. That's all I got to say about Waddle. But the fact that Odell Beckham, so far, I don't even think he's caught a pass in 7 weeks, is mind-boggling to me. You have to get Odell Beckham involved. I don't care how behind he is on the offense. Get Odell Beckham involved in these games, because you have a humongous playmaker that hasn't even touched the ball yet. Number 2, again, like I said in one of my previous videos, love Devon Achane. He ran very well, and so did Raheem Mostert. But the key that Jalen Wright gives you is that he's just as shifty as Devon Achane, and he runs people over like Mostert, which is what we love about Mostert and what we love about Achane. You combine that, and that's what Jalen Wright is. He needs to get more touches, because again, like you see during the end of the game, is that Achane just gets, when he hits the line of scrimmage, sure, if he has an open lane, he runs for about 6 yards. But so do all of our running backs. I love them, but all of our running backs, when you give them an open lane, they'll run for 6 yards. But the difference between Mostert and Achane and Jalen Wright and Achane is that they fall forward. So they get not 6 yards, they get 8 instead of 5 or 6. Jalen Wright needs to get more touches on this offense, because again, he makes it easier for Tua, instead of Devon Achane getting stuffed every single time that there's not in a complete open lane. That's the point of a running back, man. That's what I think we're not getting, is that you're not going to have 6-7 yards every single play. If you get stopped at the line, some of the great running backs will still push this thing forward for 3 yards to make it easier on the quarterback. Now we'll head on to defense. Goodness. Zach Sealer being out clearly hurt this team significantly. Javon Holland has a knee injury. Let's go to this defense right now. I'm not going to talk about that we should have signed ABG. Yeah, we all clearly know that. Bradley Chubb, nowhere to be seen. I don't know if he's ever going to come back. Traded a first-round pick for this dude. Just sucks. We need to figure something out. We get no pass rush. Chop Robinson, he's a young guy. Totally understand it. But honestly, to pick someone that high for just potential kind of sucks, especially when you knew that you were going to be missing probably 2 of your top pass rushers. So not great for Chop Robinson. And like I said, he gets close to quarterback, but he never gets there. Jordan Poyer, probably one of the worst signings that we've ever seen. He just keeps getting beat everywhere he goes. Clearly a system Buffalo Bill, just doesn't look the same in Miami Dolphins. Unfortunately, David Long, he's been playing very good this year. He just had a really bad game. Jordan Brooks looks phenomenal, and so does Calais Campbell, the 2 bright spots. So what we need to do is, it's tough, but I think you need to sell out a lot on these blitzes. The problem is that we're not getting any pass rush, so that these receivers are getting open. The problem is that we just aren't getting there, and it seemed to happen when I'm watching the game. Some people say that we blitz too much. I think every time we stopped blitzing and we just sent forward, we didn't get pressure, and then Kyler Murray found something. Now, the second part of this is that the tackling is atrocious. You have to understand, which I think the only one that I saw that correctly did this was Jordan Brooks. When you're trying to tackle someone like Kyler Murray or like Marvin Harrison or any of these guys that are very shifty, you can't just run full speed at them. You have to stop and make sure that you can cover where they're going to go, because when you run full speed at these guys, they're just going to make you miss. And I saw that with Jalen Ramsey. I saw that with a bunch of the corner blitzes. When you are trying to tackle, like, say, a Lamar Jackson or a Kyler Murray or whatever it is, yes, if he's not able to see you, go right ahead, go smack right into him. But when you're coming at him and he clearly sees you, you have to stop so that you can account for if he shifts to the right or the left. You can't just go full speed at him, because he's just going to dart out to another side and make you miss. You have to tackle better. Thing is about divisional games is that they're very different. They're not the same as other ones because we have much more recollection. We have much more tape on the teams. Now, I understand the Buffalo Bills have had our number, but the one time, and this is why I say blitzing, the one time that we had their number, and I understand it was hot, but still, the one time that we had their number is when we did the Josh Boyer blitzing, super blitz defense, and it confused Josh Allen really badly, and he made a lot of mistakes that game. We have very similar corners, like Kendall Fuller and Jalen Ramsey. Both have been excellent. I think you need to sell out on the blitz for the rest of this season, because you got no pass rush. Chop Robinson is not getting there. Honestly, you really need to incorporate a lot of that old school, like sending 7 or 8 and putting Jalen Ramsey on the best guy. This is the thing, is that when you get no pass rush, it doesn't matter how good your corners are, because the quarterback has all day. Like Kyler Murray had all day to throw the ball yesterday. What you need to do on your defense now is you need to realize that besides Calais Campbell, which, he can't even really be in every play, you're not getting a pass rush just rushing 4-5 guys. They're stalemating you. Your guys are not getting to the quarterback. You have to sell out on the blitz. You have to just play Jalen Ramsey against 1, Kendall Fuller against 2, and sell out on the blitz. You just have to do that, because when you stop blitzing, is when these quarterbacks start being able to find guys open. The thing is and I saw this in the beginning of the game, is that when we were blitzing Kyler Murray, now, of course, we missed a couple with Jalen Ramsey, but when we were blitzing, it was forcing him to just shoot the ball all over the place. When we started sending like 4 or 5, that's when he started having time. He started moving out of the pocket because you only have one guy getting to him. Honestly, we have to incorporate, I would say, more so like that Brian Flores style of defense, where you're just sending all your guys and then just trusting your corners to cover their dudes for long enough so that your guys get there. Because, like I said, we have no pass rush. So the only way that you can get a pass rush is by sending more guys than they have to block. Simple as that. And, I would say that's the best chance that we have against Josh Allen. Because, again, if we win, this is what, I'll finish with this. We're all emotional because we have a team that just lost a game. That the reason why we're emotional is because we looked good for most of the game. Like, we looked like a very solid team for most of the game. Yes, a mishap happened with the safety, and the defense just started letting everything in. But for a good part of this game, we looked like a very complete team. Like I was even saying, if we can keep this up, we can make a run. So that's why we're all emotional. To want to sit there and say, all right, now sell everybody, is the most ridiculous statement that I can hear. People are emotional, but you have to understand, this team, even though it's lost a lot, Jaguars game we won, this game probably should have won. Whenever Tua is in right now, we have a lot of talent. We can, if we put everything together, we can beat any team. Like it's just a pure fact. If you put everything together, you can beat every team. The way our offense looked, if we do that against Buffalo, we'll give them a shot for their money, because Buffalo's defense is not as good as it used to be. If you put everything together, and like I said, we need to sell out on the blitz, just keep shooting people at Josh Allen, getting him confused, making him move around the pocket and not stand still. If we win this next game, they're Green Bay Packers, 49ers, the Eagles, they all have been 3-6, 2-6, and made comebacks. If we do that, we can win. The thing is when you think about a 12-4 win team, they also only lost 4 games. A 11-5 team, they only lost 5 games. Now, I understand people are angry, but it's very much possible that we can go on a win streak. This team is too talented to take it apart. It just needs a couple of pieces, like offensive linemen and pass rushers. That's all it really needs to make a statement. And if we do that, we can go on a run. And might be some trade targets that we talk about, but we can turn this around. It just depends on the players and the coach to finally put everything together, play like the first half against the Cardinals, and we can beat any team that we want in this league. It's just up to them, and we'll see if it happens. But, I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to lose immediately to the Buffalo Bills. I'm not going to say that. It's a divisional game. You never know what could happen. We could have a spark and just do something crazy. Again, like I said, the Ravens just lost to the Browns, who everybody thought the Browns sucked. So things happen. Keep your head up. See what happens. And if they lose to the Buffalo Bills, then it is what it is. But as always, guys, fins up, baby. Love you all. Peace.